Hello and welcome to the end of year tradition here at Pop Culture Reacts as we are going over our top five new to us this year in what we have reacted to and also our worst that we have
Yeah,
reacted to this year.
another tradition, a less positive tradition, but one that we feel like speaks to us a little bit more. Yeah, we started this last year, didn't we? And in fact, we started the channel just the year before that, but part of the way through the year. And I don't know, like a year-end list. I love a list. I'm a big fan of a list at the best of times, but year-end lists, like best album of the year and things like that. They're out there, but I don't know. We just kind of went, look, we're doing all these songs. What did we like the most with what we reacted to? So yeah, feels right to kind of revisit, and it's nice to revisit some of these, although maybe not so much the worst of the year.
Yes, obviously there are rules because with all lists there has to be rules. The rules are it has
There
to
are
be
no
new.
rules. Oh yeah, sorry, no, that's not the rules.
This isn't like Fight Club, where you don't talk about Fight Club.
Yep,
And there is no Fight Club,
there is no
or
Fight
is
Club.
there? So the rules, it has to be new to us. So I can't come in and go, oh, all these Ramstein songs that I've known for 15 years. Yay, aren't they great? There can only be one per artist.
Which is one of the toughest rules because
Yes,
yeah, we'll get to that when we get to our top fives. But that made this an even harder exercise.
yes. And that concludes the rules. There are only
Yeah,
two.
yeah, and like on that, like new to us, there's some, wibbly wobbliness around. I mean, I'll get to it. Like one of them, I'd heard 30 seconds of it and things like that. But yeah, like it not a song that we have brought to the table. We went, oh, this is my favourite song ever, because that feels like cheating. And this is
Yes,
supposed to be, yeah, as I say, new to us. And that was one of the big points of doing this was trying to find music that wasn't necessarily out last week, but we hadn't heard before for whatever reason, and find new stuff that we love. So yeah, it seems only right to honour that in our end of year blast.
yes. So, as with all top five lists, you can never have just five. So, Mr. Sedna, I'll start with you. What is upon your honourable mentions list?
Well, I'll pick up on this now. I found this much harder than when we did it last year. Now, don't get me wrong, we've reacted to a lot more this year,
Yes.
which is probably increased, but I think it's a testament to how good and how much I enjoyed a lot of the stuff we did this year because there was some kind of real tough competitors for making it to the top five. But for honourable mentions, one of my honourable mentions is Love Bites, a band that we've covered two albums of now. But the one that really still stands out for me is Stand and Deliver, which is the first one we did. And
Mm.
you might find this on some of mine. The first ones being the ones that really grabbed me, but uh, it introduced me to a new band. Big advantage, but I think it introduced me to what they can be, and obviously we've gone back into the past, and that's not to say the stuff in the past isn't excellent, but I love the unity that come across in this song. I thought it was
Yeah.
an absolute, it was a belter, and I think straight away we both went, yeah, we're coming back for more. So
Yeah.
a good win for me for that on an honourable mention.
Yeah. With that, the thrashiness of it just was like, oh, hello, for me. And I was just like,
Well,
I'm in.
and that video was them obviously having fun in the studio together, wasn't it? So you
Yeah.
get this kind of fun, fresh feel with the band and kind of go, oh, yeah, these are people who actually like each other and they're making music together. They're not a band that by this stage they want to murder each other or can't be in the same room. So yeah, it really stood out for me.
Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, not one that I still know much about, but it was Winter in the Woods by Leave and Laurel, which
Hmm.
Chris had recommended to us, and I think it made my honourable mentions because it really surprised me. It was a song. I don't know what I expected. I expected something kind of dancey, but I don't know. I just thought it was beautiful, and it's lived on my playlists for a lot since then. And this one is a little bit cheaty in the honourable mentions, but because I had heard it once, I heard it walking. I say to work, from work, and straight away I went, "We're going to listen to this. We're going to do a reaction to this," and that was Television by the Idols. And
Yeah.
I loved the style of it. I loved that kind of.
Aggie punk.
Yeah, Aggie punk, but Aggie punk with a message I could really get behind. That kind of message of going, no, look, like as a person, you're probably all right, but you're being told you're not all right by dickheads, people on YouTube, all that sort of thing. And I don't know, messaging in music is important to me when I think it's done well, and this is done well. But my harshest honourable mention, and the one that really, really was painful to not go in my top five, was Furling in Paris by Rammstein. We did a lot of Rammstein this year. I found a love for especially two of the albums, and this isn't from the two that really jumped at me. This is from is it
Leaving
oh
it
god,
for Eleanor.
thank you, yeah. But oh, I just think this is such a beautiful song. It really, and we did live as well, didn't we?
Yeah.
And I think it both. It's one of those songs that just crept inside me, grabbed hold of, I don't know, my innards in some way, and buried itself in there. But yeah, it's so hard to leave it off. But again, the strength of the top five forced that one out. But a painful force out for me. But that's it for my honourable mentions.
So with mine, the first two are a couple that you brought that you knew about, but got me for the comedy side of music. That I love when it's done right. First one
Bringing
being
the larks.
Half Man, Half Biscuit, and Asparagus Nicks Left.
Oh
Just this one is such like a quintessentially English song
yeah.
that
We've said before when we've done reactions to them, and when we've done other reactions, we are English, and it does colour your view to some things, both positively and negatively. But there's some absolute joy in there of being English and getting such a ton of English pop culture references thrown at you in a singular song, or in every song in that case.
it just took me back to being a kid going on like summer days out or on the way to a caravan park or whatever, like a
Yeah,
haven or something like that,
yeah,
driving past these random road signs
yeah,
and just
yeah.
being like, what is that? Why is
Yeah.
that there? And it just sort of like just grabbed that nostalgia on me, and I was like, yes, please.
Yeah, it taps into that vein, doesn't it? And like with, as I say, about its pop culture references, and all the while referencing what I think would be widely considered very obscure sort of people from TV or TV shows that were the only ones we watched when we were kids, because they were the only TV shows that you had access to.
Yeah.
Yeah, just I wish I could listen to the Bickies again for the first time.
Next one, another one of yours. Fight Like Apes, 90210. You get wrestling references in a happy little ditty in the
Yeah.
way they do. Ah,
Oh,
a chorus of suplex, 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 backbreaker. You're
yeah,
fired.
yeah.
Next time I'm in management, that is, we're gonna
Oh,
to have a meeting,
I'll quite happily
buddy.
work for you if you fired me that way. I was so pleased that you liked this one. I was so pleased it made your honourable mentions. It was one that I'd actually, I think I said to you at the time, it's a song that I've listened to a lot over the years, but I'd actually forgotten it for a little while. And when it kind of come up on a playlist again, I was like, oh, rush this to the show. I hope that Chris will like this. Wrestling references are always going to get us, but yeah, it's just such a fun song, isn't it?
Yeah.
And fun and funny, whilst I don't know, I don't want to undersell how amazingly catchy they make it. Like it really is, it's got that kind of sea shanty rock from side to side element
Yeah.
as I'm being fired. Yeah, I love it as well.
It was beautiful. Someone we did a few of this year. This was the one that got me the most. Immortal Technique, Poverty of Philosophy. Um, just truth bombs of how Central America and governments and how the North Americas look down at Central America and Mexico and things like that, and how we think that we've invented all these great things. And if you actually look back, no, they were
Yeah,
doing it centuries before. And there were a few Immortal Technique songs that I was going, oh, but which one? And I think because this one is very much here are facts.
yeah,
that was what was like, yeah, no, I love this one.
I think we'll pick up a bit more on, as I say, I already mentioned messaging once, but I think we'll pick up a bit more in messaging with what I think may be in your top five and what I know is in my top five. But Immortal Technique has a fantastic delivery mechanism for it, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Like he, you know, a rapper by trade, but sometimes doesn't necessarily tie himself to even rapping this stuff. Sometimes it's more like spoken word. Sometimes it's more like beat poetry. And yeah, I think you're right. I think we said about the half man, half biscuit, that English eye we have on things. Sometimes it's nice to hear the international eye, the sort of messaging that I guess we more prone to hearing and seeing in TV and movies,
yeah,
but from someone who's actually kind of living in the streets that are probably much more impacted on this than we are. But yeah,
yeah.
fantastic song.
So the next one is actually one that came in from the listener suggestions off one of our videos. It's an ICP song
I thought this
that
was going to make your top five, so I'm quite pleased
that
it didn't.
Let's Go All the Way cover. I never knew this existed. I never knew I needed it in my life. But fuck me, I am so happy that I now have this in my life because
Yeah,
this has been on repeat pretty much all year. This gets
I
played at least once a week.
I know you loved it more than I did, but I could tell how much you loved it. So I thought it would sneak in at number five. I really did think this would make the top five for you.
Yeah, no, it was just one of those of like it just hit me right. It was like them doing a song that I already like, but doing it in that Juggalo ICP way, and just I wouldn't say improving it because I said I still love the original. The original is still great, but just their take on it just
doing
works so
something
well.
doing
And now this
something
is the
that
one.
you enjoy with it, isn't it? It's that, I mean, we talk
Yeah,
about we do covers every now and again, and we will talk about covers again in this video, but I think that's the trick of covers, isn't it? If especially when they're playing with a song you like, um making you like it for not just the song that you like, not harming the song that you like, but
yeah,
making it their own enough that you like it equally as much or kind of in that same ballpark as much. But
yeah.
yeah, really tough trick to do. Like that's why brilliant covers are brilliant, bad covers are bad.
And this one was fighting into my top five, but dropped out when I did my. I'm listening through everything we've listened to, and it literally got dropped out by one that I had
Chopped.
forgotten that we had done this year, and I was like, oh shit, no, we did do that one when listening through it.
I feel
So,
like, by the way, before you go on, I feel like there might be some moments like that when you say something. I'm going to go, oh god, yeah, we did that. That should be in there. But yeah, crack on.
so it is your boys, Radiohead, and Bones. I it was when we were going through. Is it OK Computer? The album, the
The
Bends.
bends. Yeah.
Yeah, those first few I struggled with. You know, it was the things that I'd heard, like the Radiohead songs that I'd heard on the radio, that sort of style, and I was like, it's not the stuff I like. And then it sort of warmed me up, and they got a
You
bit better.
covered
And
it really
then,
well, though. It wasn't noticeable at all in those first few videos.
but then I heard this, and I was like, oh shit, they've got this in them as well. Because I'd heard Just, so Just couldn't get in because Just
Yeah.
I knew it, I just didn't know it was called that, and it was one of those that I hadn't heard it in ages, but I knew it. But this was the one that was just like, oh yeah. I
Well,
am intrigued to see it. If like more of this style, if they do more that,
well,
because it's that slightly down tuned and a bit sort of grittier, and it's like, oh
we are coming back to Radiohead. In fact, we almost recorded OK Computer one night, but I wasn't in the mood. Hey, so we did some other stuff instead. I think we did some fun stuff instead. But yeah, I mean, like the Benz was always the album that I thought would be the toughest sell for you anyway, because I think it's the God, I almost hate to say it, but almost the most commercial one. But I think it was. I don't know. It was where music was going at the time, and you know, like a lot of the songs are about the pressure from the record company and things like that. But yeah, I'm pleased one made your honourable mentions, and interested to see how you find it when we move on to OK Computer and then um, through OK Computer to everything that comes after that. But yeah,
Yes.
looking forward to doing that for 2024. Had to figure out what year it was then. Yeah, 2024.
So, what makes your number five?
God, like it's hard, isn't it? Because you kind of now get to list. But yes, number five. So number five for me was a new band to both of us this year. And it is VOB or Voice of Batch Prot, and it was the first song we did, I believe, which is PMS. We listened to the whole album. We loved the album, and there's some standout tracks in there. Listened to quite a few covers this year. Absolutely fantastic. The reason why this one stuck with me is it really is my most listened to song of theirs. Now, partly that was because it's the first one we heard, and we don't listen to
Yeah.
it anymore until we react to it. But it's the one that I tend to go to when if I think I'm only going to listen to one song by them, I listen to this one. I said the same thing about Love Bites Stand and Deliver, but what come across to me is not only are we getting something by musicians who can do some great music, and I think their vocals are fantastic, and I think lyrically this is really good as well. But it was the unity and the joy of them doing this music together that come across for me, and it made my top five because it was a slam dunk. As soon as we did this, we went, we are doing more. There was
Yeah.
no doubt in our mind we are doing more, and I think that barrier of entry is one of the hardest things sometimes in music, isn't it? Like we've been burnt probably so many times of one track and the rest of the album or the rest of their career is something you don't particularly like, but yeah, this song grabbed me instantaneously and has stuck with me ever since. And that is on top of listening to a whole album I liked, but this is the track that I always come back to and want to listen to the most.
See, none of their songs made my top five, but if we were doing the artist of the year, VOB are mine because I'm just like, we are so early in their career. Their one album, yes, there's the
Yeah,
the
yeah,
covers and stuff. I am just like, oh my fuck, I'm following along with these. These are now, one of my bands. In that
yeah,
same way, like Ghost is. So the minute something new Ghost does, I'm gonna be all over it.
yeah.
VOB are that now for me. Um,
And
it
it's
was
nice to be there early, isn't it?
yeah,
So, like I will say, spoilers for what's to come ahead. I've got no songs from 2023 that made the list. At least the album come out in 2023 for this, but PMS come out before that. But this is the closest I think I get to 2023. But it's nice to be there, not too far from their early steps, is it? So
mm,
yes, we've got the painful wait for another album, but we've got a really good album to enjoy in between. But this song did, I think, exactly what the album did for me, which is made me want more. So when we listen to Restless the album, I'm going, I can't wait to see what comes next for them as well. I
yeah.
love this, but I think they've got so much in them. And going back to PMS, I mean, I can't do it justice, and I'm not going to sing on a top five, but just the way that the vocal delivery was done in this as well, um, I would say the pacing of some of the vocal delivery just went. It felt like it wouldn't be your natural choice of how to pace the words, but
Yeah,
it worked so beautifully with what was going on musically. And I don't know, that's always an attention grabber for me. People who can make unnatural, or I say unnatural, lengthening of words or phrasing sound natural when it's not how you would speak it or how you'd expect it to be sung. It always sings out for me, and absolutely fantastic on this song. But yes, great band, loved them, can't wait for more. And there will be
and
more. We'll do some lives this year, won't we?
yeah,
In the gap between now and what comes next.
and I'm hoping that there's a UK tour because now
Well,
they're on my radar. I'm
they've
waiting for
done the
that to come
US
back.
now, haven't they? And I believe, although don't quote me, I believe they've now changed record company. I think as well. I think that was sort of predicated off of um, getting some success, and I think people were interested. So yeah, I'm hoping that leads to a. I'll even get off my arse and come with you, mate, if they do a UK tour.
So my
Yeah,
number
you're number
five,
five.
old school German punk with Dritte Wahl and Grief ein. Um, we all know how much I love a political punk song.
This was a viewer recommendation as well, wasn't it,
Yes,
from memory?
yeah,
Yeah,
this was because I obviously brought the original one from Ten, their album Ten, which
yeah,
was like, oh, their pop punky sort of era stuff that I was really into, and that's how I found them. I'd never gone back to like earlier stuff, and this is from the first album when they are proper punk, and it was just proper left wing message, just Aggie want to go protest song, and I'm just like, just get this in my veins.
yeah. I was a big fan as well. You're right. I think it's what I think I always want punk to be, but isn't always. Because sometimes I think the messaging doesn't come across with quite the clarity and the right level of anger.
Yeah,
Or people just use the punk style to talk some bollocks. Like I think there's a lot of kind of those. So to find one that actually gets the, as I say, I guess the right level of delivery for the importance of what they're saying.
yeah, and I will say off the back of this, I have listened to more of their earlier albums as well, and yeah, so much good stuff.
And again, like a real advert for doing this, isn't it? Because a band that you'd heard one album of, but it probably wasn't massively high on your list to maybe get back to because obviously there's so much music coming at us all the time, and yeah, probably wouldn't have heard this song or revisited them, or if you did, it might have been 25 years down the line, and by that stage, you just go, "What? Can barely get out of my seat, let alone fight power."
So, what makes your number four?
Well, number four, I know is not on your list. I am 100% confident that it's not on your list because it's one that you bought, so you can't have it on your list. It's the one that had the most movement in my top five. It went from it's been two, three, four, and five in the top five as I've been figuring it out, but I kind of still want it higher, but there's a reason. The three that go higher is, but it's Maximum the Hormone and Alien. This song is just absolutely fantastic. It is, and the band are. This has been my year for learning these, and thanks to you for bringing them. But I think we do this every single time we do one of their songs. I get floored with how effortlessly they can change musical styling throughout. And I don't think, there's probably lots of bands that try it, but I don't think there's many that I've ever experienced that can get as close to what these guys can do, or guys and girls, should I say. And this one, first one I heard, and oh God, stop me if you heard this before, but it seems to often be the first one I've heard. But I don't know, I don't know if I'd heard another one, whether I might have gravitated him so much, but this goes from punk, hip hop styling, dance styling, kind of prodigy sort of styling, pretty much every degree of metal that I was certainly aware of at the time, all integrated into it. Funk, and I'm going on a journey in this song. I didn't know it's a journey I wanted. I've got no idea where the next stop is, but I'm loving it. And it was the second highest song I played on Spotify this year. So I think that probably gives a clue as to how much I loved it. Although we did react to it early, and yeah, opened my eyes to more of their works. Now I've been very good. I've resisted listening to too much because I like to do the reactions on here. But every song they've done bar one, I've absolutely loved. And you said earlier about going into kind of that stable of bands. They are now in
Yeah,
my stable of bands. I talk about them to anyone who will listen to me. Most of them switch off now, but like I push them on anyone. And I don't think they're everyone's cup of tea. I really don't think they are. But I push them on people who I don't even think it's their cup of tea. So I just go, give them a go. Because you might find, because I think if you'd have said to me what they are beforehand, I think I probably would have gone into it with a bit of a, probably not for me. But yeah, I just got sort of caught up in the typhoon of what that song is, and it never
yeah.
let me go. It
So
still hasn't. It still hasn't. About 10 months later.
so Alien was the first song I ever heard of Max from the Hormone,
It's a good
and
gateway song, isn't it?
this was the thing because I'd first heard this when Baby Metal, Give Me Chocolate had become big and was like the big thing in metal,
Yeah,
and like every like Kerrang, Metal Hammer, and all that were doing other bands from Japan that you may want to listen to
yeah,
next. And I heard this, and I played it about 2 or 3 times, and then went on eBay to get the album because I couldn't find it on Amazon,
yeah.
and then my
Still, their stuff's
addiction
very hard to
started.
get in the UK, isn't it? They are quite hard to buy.
I lucked out because I got a bundle of like 3 albums for like 20 quid off eBay, but I think it was before the bigger explosion of Japanese stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're impossible to get at times. But yeah, no, that was my gateway into it as well, and yeah, I can see why you jumped in.
Whenever I am in the lift on my own at work, probably going down for a cigarette, and I have to be on my own for this, I try and do poor renditions of parts of this song.
I do
Uh,
you break out "Stop Stop Winnie"?
at some point, well, I tend to try and when I say bad renditions, I tend to try and go for the heavier stuff. That's the problem, and I don't have the voice for anything, let alone that. And then when I get out the other end, I do realise that there's cameras in the lift, so like people probably just think I'm this lunatic who goes up and down and has moments in the lift. But yeah, absolutely. Even when you were talking, then the song was going around in my head, and that's how much it captured me this year. If you've not watched our reaction to that, I'll really jump on it. It's such a I should say powerful song. Bearing in mind I know where I'm going next, but such a powerful from a musical side song. I love a bit of hyperbole. I would say that this is up there with kind of some of the great classical compositions that have ever been done, but obviously nowhere near a classical style. I think it has that level of excellence to it. Fight me in the comments if you don't agree. What's your number 4?
So this year, this band that have made my number 4 brought out an EP, a song from a soundtrack, and then issued a greatest hits album with songs on it that I hadn't heard. The great Papa Emeritus blessing us with Zenith. Um,
I
this was
wasn't sure whether it would be. I thought one of two Ghost songs would make it, and I wasn't sure whether it would be Zenith or whether it would be. Oh bloody! What was the cover? Stay from.
yeah,
I can't remember what the movie's called.
Red Door, something.
I'll look it up. I'll look it
Yeah,
up. You talk about the song. I'll look up. I'll look up.
but yeah, this one obviously the new stuff that come out this year. I fucking loved that cover of Say because I like the original, and again, um, it was just one of those of the use of the actor guy, and I can't remember what his name is. He was the singer on that. Um, but him doing the main bit and Papa being the crazy sister from Shakespeare's Sister worked so well. The Jesus He Knows Me cover, I didn't know I wanted that. I fucking hate Genesis. Fucking love that song now that the Ghost have done it. But this one just this just is Ghost at that point. It is Meliora Ghost. It is the pomp, the circumstance that album has. You can see that it was done at the same sort of recording times with like Square Hammer and the bits of that. It's got that same gravitas and sort of bigness to it, and it just like I'm disgusted that I haven't had this song in my life before, knowing that
That,
it has been on versions of this album that have been easily available if I'd have just gone to Sweden or a Swedish
yeah,
website because I
which
saw
I
in the
don't think is
comments for that.
unreasonable. I don't think that's unreasonable. Go to Sweden.
Yeah, I did see in the comments that one of the guys that would comment said, "Yeah, no, this has always been on like just the standard Swedish like extra edition. And I'm like,
Oh, well, I think it was on Swedish
"Duh!"
Spotify as well. But I mean, I guess I guess that does happen around the world, doesn't it? Is that some things do? And by the way, just very quickly for anyone who is shouting at the screen and shouting this, it was Insidious Red Door, the final Insidious movie, and it's Patrick Wilson was
Yes.
the actor come singer. Like I think he's I think we found out in the comments that had often oft treaded the boards in America, and I just never knew that, and it was quite a revelation for me on Stay.
But
But anyway,
yeah,
we're not talking about Stay, about
but yeah,
Zenith.
no, Zenith. It Mallory is one of my favorite Ghost albums, and it is everything I love about that album in one song. And yeah, it
It's.
does now make me want to make you do the whole of the Meliora album.
I mean, I'd be up for it because I like you. I love that song. I think I said on the reaction to it, it's my favourite Ghost song that I've heard of the ones that we've done, and it stays that way. It didn't make my top five memorable mentions, partially because of how recently we did it. And recency bias I think can go both ways, can't it? Oh, I just heard it, it's brilliant. Or sometimes it's the do I really like it because I've just heard it, and will it still be with me in 6 months' time? So
Yeah.
who knows? It might be an addendum to this somewhere down the line. But no, I'm with you. I think it's a daft way of describing it, but for me, it was the Ghost song I thought we were getting with
Mm.
Ghost, and that was purely by my preconceptions based off of like the logo and the look of them, and to a degree, Square Hammer when we first sort of started off with that. But I feel like it's the Ghost song that I've rarely experienced. It tends to lean away from I think what I want, and they've got plenty of fans, so screw what I want. But but this did jump kind of back into the arena of Ghost that I like. But yeah, I think just a little bit too recent. I kind of want to go. Will it still be trotting around in my head in 3-4 months' time? I hope so because I do think it's great. And I just wanted to pick up on Stay. I thought Stay was a really good cover as well. More so for the Patrick Wilson, but Jesus He Knows Me was of those covers. That was the one that really stood out for me. I thought I'm not a big fan of the original song either. That made me really like that song, and I've listened to that a lot since. And I didn't think I would ever be in a universe where I listen to Jesus He Knows Me a lot, but I do now.
Yes. So what is your number three?
So number three, I guess to a degree, we're getting in the business end of stuff now. Our top threes. This one did sit at number two for a while. 2 and 3 had a fight. I put them in the car park and they had a fight. But number three for me goes to Little Sims and Venom. It's the first and only time I think we stopped a song partway through. I heard the opening bars of it and I actually paused because we do like to let the songs play. But it knocked my socks off instantaneously, and it didn't stop knocking my socks off. I think we've talked a lot about hip hop. I'm a hip hop boy at heart. I always have been. Well, probably not at birth, but for a long time I have been. And I do find that it's so rare that I get excited about hip hop artists anymore, especially very, very current ones. I tend to, if I do get excited, it's someone from back in the day releasing something. Within 30 seconds, this made me absolutely excited, and the song never stopped. It wasn't like 30 seconds, we paused it, we started it again, and I went, oh my God, the rest was balls. The production on this was right up my alley, but I think the vocal delivery of Little Sims swings into integrating her worldview, links in the kind of braggadocious things that come with rap, links in pop culture references galore, and that's what I want. I didn't know how much I missed it. It reminded me of going back to like early days of like when Nas releases Illmatic and things like that, and that's quite a big comparison for me. But this person is talking about their real world and how the real world impacts them, but not at the expense of being relatable either. I when I said that Alien was my second most played song on Spotify, Venom is my my highest played song on Spotify this year.
So this would have made my list if we hadn't already pre-recorded one that's coming out next year that I'd like more in
Oh, I mean,
that. And it was just like,
spoilers for next year, but that might make my 2024 list.
but yeah, it was just because I was like, oh, I really like that, but the other one got me better. And it was just like that. That was what sort of just dropped it out, even of like honorable mentions. But
it,
it
yeah,
was in contention. But I was just
it's
like,
bad to say because like spoilers, but I'm with you. I do really love the other song that we've done that will be coming out early in 2024 as well. I can see your point there. I do think that's an amazing song as well.
but yeah,
It's
no.
just
For for me with hip hop, I am very take it or leave it with a lot of it. You very much sort of worked out the sort of stuff that I like, and most of the stuff that you
yeah,
bring, you sort of tailor towards the sort of you'll probably like that. And yeah, no, with with Venom, it hits all the things that I want and I like in hip hop. But yeah, as I said, it was literally because knowing that that other one we done, I liked better.
and we will be doing a lot more Little Sims in the new year. I actually have. I bought her albums on vinyl the other day, so we have to start doing the videos so I can actually listen to them. I sort of said about that opening section, like, and I talk about messaging, but that messaging done in like an impactful "this is who I am" way, and it's that fuck those who don't believe, they will never admit I'm the best here for the mere fact that I've got ovaries, and like I'm not a woman, but like I kind of go, man, this is what I need. Like I think, and we talk about what the world needs. I think it needs people to speak about this, and it's a woman's world, so to speak. Pussy you sour, never giving credit where it's due because you don't like pussy and power, Venom, and then the beat drops, and I think it's one of the most powerful opening sections of a rap song I've ever heard. And I've listened to a lot, but yeah, that just like it's a knockout punch for the ages for me, and like I had to have it in there because no matter, and I hope I love all the rest of the stuff. Like sneakily, we've got two under the belt now. I hope I like her stuff as much as I like this one, but yep, made me excited for it. It's made me very very curious to into the world of UK hip hop again. It's
Mm,
been a long time since I've been curious to that. So good on you, girl. I think it was amazing. And that was my
yes.
number three. What is your number three?
The one Maximum Hormone song that can be in my chart, Koi No America. The new song that they dropped this year that painfully I had to wait to get to watch because I was
Yeah.
waiting for you so we could record it and I could get my actual genuine reaction to it.
Yeah, I made him wait. Patience is a virtue.
I fucking loved this song. It's it's everything that you said about Alien, but with this one, it's everything they do in an Americana way.
Yeah.
There's the American cheerleadery chorus of
Yep.
America. When Deske does the metal singing, he goes very sort of Pantera, Lamb of God growling in it.
Yep.
The weird EDM section that's because that's what a lot of American pop music is these days is that sort of EDM dance stuff that also sort of sounds like it could come out of the 80s because it's synth heavy.
Yeah.
And it was just like, ah, oh, still haven't been able to get a copy of the EP yet.
No.
I have been looking, I just cannot get it. But yeah,
Go get on a plane. Go to Japan.
if only I had the
If
money.
you really loved them, you would. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Are you going to give me the money? I will happily fly over.
I'll lend you a tenner. How about that? See how far that gets you. And you sort of say about like this, the, the the musical paths they weave on this, and of course it's a musical path of familiarity for us because, and there's a reason why there are lots of songs written about or at America, probably rather than about America, and that is because they are the, whether we like it or not, they're kind of the global leaders for entertainment, or the global mass producers for entertainment, maybe rather than leaders. And the ability to have a pop at America, they don't help themselves sometimes as a country. So we've experienced. I mean, I've had a few from Rammstein this year that have had some very good knockout punches, and we said about Immortal Technique having a pop at America, left, right, and centre, or the American structures. So there's a lot to go at there. Same way as we say about some of the UK songs we like when they're having a pop at systems in the UK. But where this really does do it fantastically is lean into that, as you said, what I said about Alien is their ability to cover multiple genres of the music, but without it being disjointed and jarring. It's not like they're going, here's the hip hop section, pause. Here's the country and western section, pause. Everything is so fluid, and that's the beauty that they can do when they put these songs together, when they're writing them, when they're crafting them, whatever terminology they use. I think that being able to make it seem like it was always supposed to be like this is a magical thing they've got. And yeah, Koino America, I think if we'd have done Alien and is it Yoshu Fukushu the year before, I think Koino America would have probably been my top one. But those two just, it's a bit unfair when I'm comparing their newest song to a year's worth of back catalogues and being given some of the best stuff. So, but yeah, I'm with you. I think it's a brilliant song, and of course, the video is dripping with comedy Americana as well to go along with it, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So you're number 2, Mr. Seddon.
Oh, I feel sad. We're getting to the end of the list. So this one. I bought this one to the show because I heard a teensy bit of it on a walk. So if that's cheating, then up your bum. I'm having it. Kai Tempest, Europe is Lost. This was, what you said about Dritaval and the message in there. This was a song that I hadn't heard. I think, let's say it was like 2017 or 2015 it actually come out. So it managed to escape my notice for 8 years. And there's not many songs out there, songs, TV, movies, books. There's not many that I think managed to, in its beginning to end, encapsulate exactly how I feel about the world at the time I feel about it. Now, bearing in mind, part of the strength for this is from 8 years ago, and the truth of it is that the reason why it resonates so well now is that my feelings
changed in 8 years.
Well, that's the thing. My feelings of the world probably started around 2013, 2014, 2015 times, and it stayed that way, if not got worse, with some global pandemics in between to kind of chuck you off kilter a little bit. But it's a comforting for me in a way to kind of go, I'm not alone, and I know I'm not alone. We talk about politics off camera quite a lot, or on camera quite a lot as well. But to know that there are other people out there, and I think other people who have a vehicle and a voice that I don't, that are also kind of talking about how the system's broken. It's absolutely fundamentally broken, and it remains fundamentally broken because of a combination of lots of people want it to stay broken because they're profiteering out of it, whilst at the same time those who are probably suffering the most in this broken system are being told that it's not broken or are effectively powerless to stop it anyway. And this is my first Kai Tempest song. I haven't done any more yet, and I do need to. It's 2024. We're getting back to Kai Tempest as well, because it was, I think, as much beat poetry as it was rapping. Very kind of simple beat going behind it, but a really effective simple beat going behind it. But this is all about what's contained within, and there's so much. Go and watch the video. There's so much in this song to touch on, but an amazing storyteller with it. It's not just the world's crap in it. I'm moaning about this. I'm moaning about that. Everything was framed and phrased in language and a way of speaking musically that you would hear people using, and
Yeah.
not even in a mocking tone, in a speak to people the way that they tend to speak to each other, and I think you get your message across a lot better. Yeah, just an absolutely breathtaking song, and when I heard it, I thought, no way is anything going to beat this for number one this year. Then I heard Venom, which I know dropped below it, but then when I heard that, I thought, no way is anything going to beat that for number one. Um, but it's number two. How was it for you?
So yeah, like everything you say on that one, that it is, speaking the truth and speaking like it's exactly where we stand and our outlook on the world. And as you say, it coming out 8 years ago, and it's still being as relevant today as it was then.
Kind of scary, isn't it? That in
Yeah,
8 years,
is a
it's not got any
terrible.
better. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I as we said when we did the video, I really enjoyed it. It's again, you speak truths to me in the same way that with like Immortal Technique and things like that. That
Yeah.
just feed me it.
Well,
It is preaching to the choir because it is everything that
yeah.
I already believe, but it's
We've said
that
that a
sort of
couple of times, haven't we? Sometimes I guess that's part of the fear, isn't it? Is that are you getting yourself stuck in an echo chamber? Which I guess a lot of people do. A lot of people, whatever their moral compass, beliefs, whatever, you tend to lean towards media that speaks to you. And so yeah, it is quite a danger on this one that it's media that speaks to me. But I think the thing that I love about it is it exists, and even though it speaks to me, I think it could speak to others that maybe don't think that way, and it might start to turn their head to different ways of thinking. Very
yes,
much like an Immortal Technique, etc., etc.
yeah. So my number two, Love Bites, Mastermind '01, but with the added putting MDO on straight away afterwards because this is a 1-2 hit that you have to have together.
We had a little discussion. We had a little rules discussion about this one, didn't we?
We
Someone was
did.
trying to sneak the two in, and I said, no, you're only allowed one, but you're allowed to talk about the other one. Okay.
Yeah, no. When we were doing the second album, both me and you, like at the end of each video, when we turn the camera off, we're like, "Fuck me, how are they topping that?
To be
Fuck me,
honest,
how are they
I
topping
think we
that?"
actually did it. I think we actually did that with the camera on as well. I think we went through the. It's my new favourite song by him. It's my new favourite song by him, and yeah, sort of culminated in this, as you say, the 1-2 punch that was Mastermind '01 and MDO.
And yeah, and this was the point where it was just like, "Oh my god, you were just giving me everything I want." Just riffs. There was so many riffs.
Yeah,
It was like a riff salad, but everything just worked so well in it. It wasn't like the riffs just were perfectly there. Sort of the solos worked in well there. The lyrics and the vocals all just melded together. Just to basically these two were for me on that album and for all of the Love Bite stuff we've done so far just goes, this is what they can do, and this is how good they are at doing it.
and I think what we saw as well, especially with these two tracks, was the progression of them, because we did the first two albums this year, didn't
Yeah,
we? And I think there's a lot of growth in maybe their confidence more than anything else in actually. I mean, God, they're riff gods from album one, aren't they? But I think just the way that I mean, we talk about a lot of them, like the way that the two riffs will be going against each other, bouncing off each other. Then you'll cut down to one, then you'll cut back to two. Then and there's no kind of competitiveness there. And I think in these two songs on that Clockwork Immortality, I think it is these were the pinnacle of that album for me. This is the like kind of where I went, right, you've absolutely done it. Like I like the whole album, but these were massive selling points for me. And I do actually think as a 1-2 punch, probably my favourite. But as I say, like Stand and Deliver made the honourable mentions more so. We'll find out because we're going to do all the Love Bites albums, won't
Yeah,
we? But I think what I'm seeing, what I heard in Stand and Deliver is what I think these songs suggest they can get to.
yeah,
But yeah, I'm absolutely with you on them. I think
and
I don't think I could have picked between the two. Is the honest truth.
yeah.
So I think I'd have taken the cow. Well, I did take the Coward's Way, I guess.
But this also the thing is because with both of them, they're both written by different members of the band. So the first part
Yeah,
of the album was one of the guitarists was writing it, and the other guitarist wrote the other half of it. So these two are that point where the album splits between the two writers, but it just shows that like oh how great they are at writing songs and stuff. And
unity as well, isn't it? Like I
yeah,
think I get the feeling that or certainly in the two albums we listened to and Stand and Deliver, I said the same thing for VOB. I just feel like this is a band that really likes making music and really likes making music with each other, and no matter who's writing it, I think they're probably going, I want to put something in for everyone and not just a glad hand in. Like I actually want to make sure everyone gets a chance to shine and probably interacts and they work together and kind of go, right, like we have this section here. I don't really know what to do. What would you do? But
yeah,
yeah, look, as a band, yes, I think that's one of the things that really stands out for me is not only do they make amazing music, but I feel like I'd I'd want to hang out with that band while they're making an album because I think it comes across that it's really good, really enjoyable to do.
yes.
But yeah, a fine pick, a fine pick.
So just before we
No, yeah,
discuss what's great
it's
and the
the stinky,
greatest that
it's the
we've
stinky
had,
part of the show, isn't
it
it?
is time for us to give something a kick in. So,
You can go kicking first.
so there were two that got to the very end part of my kicking list, but one of them, I because it's not really song enough for my liking, it'll only get a swift jab, not a full kicking.
And
Is
P.S. You can swift jab this one for me as well because I agree with you wholeheartedly on this.
is Picakator with Pineapple Pen.
Yeah,
You know, give me comedy, give me some even novelty.
yeah. Give me, I
But
mean, like, give me something that because I think it's like for kids, but I think if I had kids, I'd be like, no, you're not listening to that because it doesn't really do anything for kids either. Yeah, it was too short and it was too much for nothing for me to really consider. But yeah, I it's a shame for me that I live in a world where this exists. Is how I
yes,
describe it.
but my real one that is going to get a
I'm, I'm
proper kicking
I'm actually quite interested. I couldn't think of what you hated, but
is something that I brought to the table for
okay,
covers week that I
wow,
hadn't heard.
yeah.
And on first listen, when we reacted to it, I may have not given it the kicking that it should have been given because it was on further listens is where I really went no,
Where the anger
no,
truly boiled up.
and it is my favourite clowns and their murdering of
Wow,
Jump Around.
I wasn't expecting this. I wasn't expecting this, but
This this was one where when we first did it, I thought lyrically where they'd changed bits made a little bit of sense. You know, they were
they made it
juggling bits
ICP,
up.
didn't they? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But it was on further listens to it that that doesn't hold up after one listen. Everything about it is terrible. The
Yeah.
clown music that they put in that goes over what is a staple in House of Pain's Jump Around ruins it even more. And
Is
yeah,
there? And not that I'm trying to defend something that you're doing is your worst of the year, and it must be quite hard because a band you like. But is there some merit in the trying, the trying to take something and turn it into something else? I mean, I'm with you. I think it misses. I think it's way wider the mark. But I do. I mean, it didn't cross my mind. I'll be honest, but I think it didn't cross my mind because I wondered whether it just wasn't for me, and maybe there was an honourable attempt. They didn't just rinse and repeat. They didn't just go, "Oh, let's just knock it." They did actually try to, as you say, juggalo it up a bit. So I think I gave it a bit of credit for that. And also, unlike you, it was a one listen. I'll never listen to this again, so I haven't had to go through the pain and misery again. So
But this is the
I
thing.
knew enough after the first listen to go, yeah, that's never going on my stereo ever again.
I,
Stereo.
I think the reason it gets me more and wants me to kick it more is because I know when they do it well, they do it really well with how they do all go all the
Yeah.
way.
Well,
That
yeah,
this is
I
just
guess they've
so
managed to make
much.
your top
Oh,
five and your worst all in one year, which it's
and
interesting, isn't it, from that
yeah,
perspective?
this was it for me. That was the drizzling shits. I believe is the
I love that term. I love that
wrestling
term.
likes to call it.
This was quite a hard category for me this year. Uh, Last year it was easy. This year, I think it's been a really good year, and I think there's been some stuff I haven't liked. There's some stuff that's kind of in the bottom end. There wasn't a lot that made me viscerally angry. Spoilers, as you've already done a spoiler, the one that has made me viciously angry isn't coming out this year. So 2024's got a front runner already. And we did do what's that band that I hated last year? Sorry,
Methods of Mayhem.
yeah, I was made to listen to another one of them, and that actually just didn't seem as bad as the first one, although still pretty rank. But yeah, I didn't find a lot that made my blood boil, and it come down to two, and I'm going to go soft on my kick-ins with these. Um, so the one that I th- that probably was the closest to making me angry was Glory Hole, that was covered by Lounge Kittens. Now, I didn't put that in because I don't. I think I hate the song.
Mm.
Like I hated the lyrics. I hated what it was doing. I didn't think it was funny. I didn't think it was good. But I didn't think it was fair to have a pop at the Lounge Kittens for that because they're just covering a song. I don't know whether. I just think it's a horrible song. So I think if we'd have done the original,
So if it had been Steel Panther's version, then you'd have
yeah,
kicked
yeah.
it. But
Well, and I might have liked that more, but I doubt it. So I didn't. Now, however, I'm going to use very similar terminology for what did make mine. And weirdly enough, when you said that it was from covers, I thought, oh bloody hell, maybe we've picked the same one here. So uh, the the way that I distinguish between the Lounge Kittens is, I think it's a terrible song, and they did something with it. And I don't have the context to blame them for making it any worse. Whereas what was my worst song of the year was "My Heart Will Go On" by Newfound Glory. Now, I detest the song "My Heart Will Go On." I said this beforehand, so it's a bit unfair. I was not its target audience, but bearing in mind it's a song I think's awful. These guys managed to keep it as awful as it was. So they actually fundamentally changed it. And I think they did not in any way fundamentally change it for the better. If anything, I think I almost dislike this version of it as much as I do the original. And bearing in mind, again, it's a song I don't like. But it's a soft kick in because the fact that the two that were highest for me were covers, I think that says a lot about what we've done this year. Is that there wasn't really any original efforts that just made me hate the world of music too much. So yeah, Newfound Glories, My Heart Will Go On.
oh, yes, you just have this disdain for pop punk, don't you? That's what it is.
I mean, yeah, I mean that was. I think that was a weak version of as well, wasn't it? Like
Yeah,
I think they were,
it is
and
not a great cover.
well, and like I don't know if I actually went back and watched every single video in prep for this. Like most of it was like looking down the list, and I remember a lot. Although there was a couple of songs I went, did we listen to that? There is a bit of a kind of trend for new metal, pop punky stuff that you bring. I don't tend to love, doesn't tend to resonate with me a lot, but most of them kind of sit in that not for me
Just
category.
is, yeah.
Yeah, and like I don't know, it takes something special to make me really, really hate it. And I guess this was as close as we got, other than the song that we don't speak of because it's not come out yet.
So, Mr. Seddon,
Go on, end of
Which
the year, mate. Number
which
one.
song
Number one.
is it? Because I know who it is.
Do we want to do a countdown 1, 2, 3 and say the song at the same time to see if we went for the same one?
Go on then.
Right, so, and it'll be on three. So, one, two, hi, Ren.
Ren.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, um, I, I don't know. You go first. You talk about hi, Ren first.
So before I go into High Ren, I do want to give
I guess that's
a
probably a good
big
way to do it.
shout
Yeah, yeah.
for Money Game 2 for me because, as I said on the video for it, this needs to be given to kids to explain how, capitalism works in Money Game 2 because it just explains it all out in a way that people can understand. But everything we've done of Ren this year has just pretty much been like top tier stuff.
One of the reasons we put in the rule of one song by one artist was for something like this, wasn't it? It was for
Yeah.
hitting an artist like this who I certainly think Ren would have been my top three if we didn't do it this way. Weirdly enough, for me, it's Money Game Part 3 rather than Money Game Part 2. That's the one that ran High Ren the absolute closest to me. Exactly the same reasoning, though. I'd give Money Game Part 3 to kids at school and say, listen to this. I'd probably give them both, is the honest truth, because I think you're right. I think Part 2 shows you how, at a simplistic level, but at a realistically simplistic level, how capitalism works and how capitalism is exploitable and probably exploiting all of us and the planet. I think Money Game Part 3 is an important lesson because it is, and this is the role you can play in it.
And what it can happen.
Yeah, you can get in the money game and you can, drive yourself through these structures that there are. But yeah, I think, and it's a bit of a shame because like one is really good as well. But yeah, Money Game Part 3 was the standout for those. But yeah, like we did obviously the trilogy of the Tale of Jenny and Screech, and for me, it would be Violet's Tale. I would pick that out very specifically as like the third part of the song, but as an individual song, and say that probably would have seen out my top three. But yeah, a phenomenal artist who's done phenomenal things. But I guess there's some key reasons why we both and our first again. So there's a bit of a, but I don't think this is purely down to it being the first song we reacted to. But yeah, I think there's some key reasons why High Ren jumps out as our top one. So I'll let you wax lyrical about it.
So for me, it was just the delivery, the message that's in there, the fact of someone well documented. Watched loads of like interviews and stuff, and he is very candid going through his medical history and the ailments and stuff that he's had, and the difficulties that he's had, and the stuff that he has to do just to get by. But to put that to music, to put that in a way that humanizes the struggles of mental health, it humanizes the internal battles that you have with yourself in those moments, and just showing that raw vulnerability that he does during it, and all with just an acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
he
acoustic guitar and the voice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like it's one of those true examples of and the voice is always an instrument, but pairing it so back that the voice, the delivery of the words, the delivery of the lyrics throughout, and we'll get into kind of how the song does it, but it is amazing how he manages to craft the vocal delivery throughout this song.
And yeah, as I said, it was just that thing. Like obviously, when we first watched it, I hadn't sort of gone into any of his details, didn't know anything about it, and we both go and either he has had he's
Yeah.
lived this, or
Well,
he's lived with
as I say,
someone that had been
you
there.
had nothing, didn't you? And I had 30 seconds of the song where I'd kind of heard it start. I got to the bit where the vocals start, where I'm not going to try and do it because I fell, and I went, stop. We're doing this. Like, there's something here almost instantaneously. So yeah, we went into it with no knowledge of him, the song, what it was going to be about, or as you say, any of the context of how he's lived his life.
Yeah, and the thing is, you can tell with if you've watched that video, just our our faces on that are just like pretty much all the way through it. And I know it's not what some people come to see as like bouncing around and stuff, but I know for myself, I can't sort of speak for you, but I can speak for me on this one that I was so engrossed in the lyrics, in what he was doing, the visuals of that video, that I was just taking it all in, and it was just that sort of point of going, "Oh my fuck."
After the tales of Jenny and Screech, my legal team have told me I'm not allowed to talk about facial expressions and how we react to stuff. Joking. Yeah, I mean it's. I don't know. I mean, like, I think we all experience music in the way we experience it, don't we? And I know we put ourselves out here as a reaction channel, and I think that kind of does indicate reacting. We're reactors with words more than anything else, aren't we? I think more often
Yeah,
than not, and it's the reason why we don't stop the songs very often. I think we want to, or certainly the way we want to experience it is very similar, isn't it? We want to kind of hear the song, try to kind of take as much of it in as we can, and in cases like the ones like this, to like have our socks knocked off, or like to have our worlds rocked and things like that. And I don't know, sometimes, and and let's be honest, it's not a song. Like, it's not a song that's designed for you to start going to, or certainly not for me.
yeah,
Although, again, there's some amazing kind of passages in there musically that I think strip the lyrics away, and like they may well grab me in a slightly different way. Or I don't know, if I was outside the back of the house having a cigarette, I don't know how it would grab me, but I it is captivating, isn't it? And I think that's one of the amazing parts of it. Is we said it's like reading a novel, watching a movie, watching a great TV show, and listening to a song all at the same time, because there's so much that is conveyed in here, and so much that grabs you, or me in this case. It's a true work of genius for me. And I've
yeah,
listened to it a lot since. And um, to pick up on something you were talking about there, about the admiration I have for anyone who can be really open and honest about things that have impacted them in their life. And there's an argument that says, oh, like, isn't that the easiest thing to do, is to talk about your own experiences because you experienced them? Well, no. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some people that just won't shut up about stuff that's going on in their life, but normally they're talking about really inane stuff like, I don't know, someone parking too close to their house or something. But to actually open up about real, really impacting deep personal moments, right the way kind of up to that, and inclusive of that, thoughts of suicide, which I think, if someone says that's easy to talk about, then they're talking bollocks. It really, really isn't. But I think it. Oh, I guess I'm flubbing it a bit, but I think where the massive strength for this is that you feel a massive amount of affinity for Ren, but I think you only feel that a massive amount of affinity not just because of the story being told in such a compelling way and it being such an amazing story, but it doesn't matter whether you are Ren or not Ren. I think the true genius in this is, and this is a true genius in I think all great works of art, is whether you are here on the scale of mental health and physical health, or here, this speaks to everyone in between.
yeah,
And I think, like I always say, touch wood, I'm very, very lucky not to have experienced a lot of that. But that conversation with oneself and the bad side of oneself, that part of us that makes us doubt what we're doing and might not be there as commonly as everyone, but we all have that. We all have that voice that tells us that we're not good enough.
Yeah.
or we're going to be shit at this. And then yourself telling yourself back, no, no, we can do this. And then kind of going, and you know, like the one of my favorite passages for it from it is the argument about wanting to make great music and finding an audience, whilst the inner you's saying, like, effectively you're lying to yourself, you do want to be famous.
And
And when
MC,
you finally, well, and when you finally admit it, yourself turns to yourself and says, there you go, I knew it, you're an arrogant prick, you've always been an arrogant prick. And it's that constant battle. And I know we get this at the end, where he talks about his experience, but that kind of bringing it back to the constant battle. Now, for some people, that battle can be life and death. Some people, that battle can be so impactful on their day-to-day life that it almost prevents them from being able to have a life. But yeah, the true power of it comes from, I don't think there's a human being out there that this doesn't happen to. And for those that, and I think for me, what was really powerful was I tried to pretend it doesn't happen to me. But it was very comforting to kind of go, yeah, okay. You know, I can start to like look at myself and go, yeah, I know this happens to me, and there's not something wrong with me. I am living this human experience that we're all living, and if anything, I should probably be thankful that it doesn't impact me anywhere near as much as it is others.
but yeah, as I said, yes, it was the first one, so it was the one that made us go, "Oh my fuck, he's now in our list
Yeah.
and one of our boys." But the fact that I look at this and I go, like, the stuff that he has done this year, or that we've reviewed
Yeah,
from
yeah,
him from this year,
yeah.
has then made that he's now then gone and had a number one album in the
Oh,
UK. That
thank God for
this
that. You know,
is
like,
this is clearly he had also got a fucking huge audience because
yeah,
we, we saw the numbers of people that came to watch us do his
yeah.
video, and it's just like there is we say it with like Immortal Technique, we say it with some of the political rap stuff and things like that, that we love these messages, but they need to find their audience. I'm hoping that because of the level of success that he clearly is having, that people are getting the messages that he's saying,
We'll
and
be
it can help people.
we'll be doing this. We'll be doing the album this year as well. We will go through the whole album and everything in and around it. But yeah, you know, like not every song has to have a music. Sorry, not every song has to have a message. But I do. You know, we've said it before. I think songs with messages do tend to feel like they've got more gravitas and power for me. Said it when I talked about Kai Tempest of going. Certainly, when you get to Money Game, all three parts, I think you fall into that danger of the echo chamber. It's messaging that I think is important and sings to what I believe about the world. However, all that being said, regardless of if and you're spot on there. I think it's about getting this messaging out to people that aren't talking about things like this and aren't considering things like this. You know, like kind of the hidden masses. So with Money Game, I think it's really really important that maybe people who are hiding away from what actually goes on UK but worldwide around sort of greed, capitalism, etc., etc., etc. Regardless of if they ever agree with the messaging or not, I think it's important for people to start thinking about it because that's the key, isn't it? Like
Yeah,
we didn't come to like where we are with our journeys in life and the way we feel about things overnight. You know, this built up in us, and I think it's amazing to see someone who within two songs or three songs if you add in like or four songs if you add in all the Money Games have been able to do that at a political level but at a personal level, and that's
yeah,
where High Ren jumped in front. And you know, like the importance of messaging, probably the better way to save this world is to start to look at things like Money Game and go, how can we change the world to be better? The doom and gloom merchant media kind of goes, this world's gubbed though. I don't think we're going to get there. I think we're too far past. Whereas High Ren, that messaging of going, people need to speak more. People need to acknowledge more. People need to
Not suffer
find,
in
yeah,
silence.
find and seek that health where they can, and not just assume that this is a singular journey. You know, like, I know we're all special, and I know we all experiencing things in our own ways, but um, there's some commonality there, and there's some people that you can talk to that can help you, and to do that in such a personal fashion. And you know, that's, look, we've got absolutely fixated on the message in there. I know we said it a few times. Musically, it's amazing as well. I think the range that he goes through with that acoustic guitar, what he does with his voice, and let's be honest, it's a one set video, and it is an amazing video.
Yeah.
You know, primarily a man sat in a wheelchair in a dark room. Now, if you said that to someone, they'd probably go, "Oh, this is very good," but it is, you know, like, yeah, it's a beautiful piece of art and a very important piece of art.
Yeah, it is very much more than music. It is art.
Yeah,
Art is the right word for it. So it takes this time for me to thank you all for watching over the year, watching us jump to just shy at the time of recording of just shy of 2,000 subs,
yeah,
which
it's
we
quite
were,
a big
you
year,
know,
isn't it?
I think at the beginning of the year we got like 400 or something like that.
Yeah, yeah,
I know that the special anniversary hits have dropped off a little bit. We were doing them at every 100 at one point. We were meant to do them at every 250,
yeah.
but timing and other stuff and
Well,
life got in
you
the
know,
way a few times.
but also, like as we're kind of doing this now, you know, like, uh, I think we started to take on a lot more music, didn't we? I
Yeah,
think, you know, at the beginning of the year we were doing a lot less videos, so like having kind of these things interspersed in was a lot easier to do. But just to kind of go back to, like, anyone and everyone who subscribed, and anyone who comes along and watches the video, and especially 90% of people who interact with us in the comments, 10% of you have a word with yourselves. But like, it is great. Like, we'd do this anyway, wouldn't we? I think, like,
yeah,
for us, it's about sitting in a room and listening to music and chatting. You know, I found my love of music again, amazingly, over the last couple of years doing this, and a love of lots of new music that I didn't even know existed. So yeah, we'd carry on doing this anyway. But it really does, like, it sounds sort of twee to sort of say, but it really does mean a lot that people have bothered to kind of come along, subscribe, put comments on. You know, it sometimes, for two English dudes who don't, you know, go back to, like, you know, we won't probably
yeah.
bop around much or anything like that. You know, reserved kind of dudes. Like, it's really nice for people to come along and kind of join the ride. And you know, like, thankful to all and any of you that come along. And yeah, you know, there'll be plenty more to come this year. And you know, we know we've got Radiohead album to get back to. We'll be back to Love
Two more
Bites. We'll be back to
Ramstein albums.
Ramstein. Yeah, yep. So there's a lot coming up. And do you know what? I think time is often the enemy. You mentioned it, didn't you? Like, and you know, I've got very, very used to kind of it being you and I. And we talk about, I'll go back to something we said about Hiren, about you know, how you put yourselves out there in the world and the little voices. Now, when I'm here with you, I don't have any little voices while we record, because I'm talking to you and I've got you here. But I think sort of doing stuff on my own, I think that's where my little voices go, "What are you doing, you prick?" Like, no one wants to hear you talk to yourself in a room, and they're probably right. But yeah, I think there might be a bit more stuff to come in 2024. You know, we talked about doing some more stuff in 2023, but to be honest, we ploughed all our efforts into this, didn't we? But yeah, I
Yes.
think yeah, I think there might be you know, bits and bobs where maybe I've got a bit of spare time and I might knock some stuff together and put it out there on the channel. But this is our end of year plea as well. If anyone wants to come along and play with us, that was really weird. But if anyone does want to come along, come in and chat to us about music, movies, books, comic books. You know, like we. Football Manager. You know, we have a lot of things. The reason why it started off as Pop Culture Productions is that I had intended to cover a lot more things, but time has been the enemy. But yeah, anyone who ever wants to come along and play, drop us a message and we'll find a way to get you on the show.
Yes. So it's time for me to say, have a good year.
Yes,
Have a
Happy
good
New Year, everyone.
2024.
Yeah.
Or if you're watching this even further in the future, happy whatever year it is
Yeah, I
where
hope
you are now.
2024 was good for you, and I hope that it got slightly better. Like the ninth year of Europe is lost. You're not still sitting there going, "Yeah, bloody hell, nothing's changed." I hope 2024 is a year of positive change for the world. But if it can't be the world, for you, like anything that you guys want to do, maybe take this as the year of
Take a
spreading
punt.
your wings. Yeah, yeah.
So, as always, let us know your top fives of what we've done this year in the comments.
Oh, and anything that we didn't do this year that you think would make our top five next year, based off of what you've heard that we like for our top five.
Get it in. And until next time, and next year with new recordings, because as we said, there's stuff that's already in the can that may or may not be the start of next year anyway. Good day.